Hello friends, welcome to my channel, and today I am here to talk about my new purchase, which is a Tamron 24 to 70 2.8 lens, which is the older one, USD VC. And I bought it because this is this is an older lens and it is easily available on eBay, or if you really want to buy this lens you can get it online at a very reduced cost, because this lens is pretty old and people are selling it for around 500 to 400 bucks. The reason I went for this because 24 to 70 2.8 with stabilization is the kind of lens that you can use for your video. And you'll be surprised to know that I didn't buy this lens for my Canon or Nikon gear. I decided to buy it for my Sony because I normally shoot with the Sony cameras. I really wanted to do a little bit experiment because I saw some videos on YouTube that one guy is saying that if you really want to use your full frame Canon lenses to your Sony camera, you need to use one adapter, and if the adapter is Speedbooster, it also increase the field of view as well as increase the aperture. And if the autofocus works well, then it's going to be kind of a very cheap and very reliable gear for any kind of professional shoot. So I bought this 24 to 70 and combined with my A6300, and I thought this is gonna work well. But I have few things to tell you guys, because this information is really not available online, and those people who are promoting Viltrox adapter, they really won't like to share this detail with you guys. So stay tuned till the last video and you will definitely be able to know more information about the adapter if you really want to buy this Viltrox adapter and combine your Canon lenses with your Sony camera. So let me show you what I have right now with me. This is 18 to 105, which is a zoom lens, f4 lens. It is a native mount for Sony camera, but I decided to experiment with this one. This is 24 to 70 f2.8 lens. And here you can see I am using a Viltrox Ef2.2 adapter, which is kind of a new, and based on the video I saw online, I found that the autofocus is working really well. But there are a few problems with this lens that you should know. The first problem is most of the people who really want to adapt a lens to your Sony mount, they really go for Sigma 18 to 35, which is 1.8 lens. But when you adapt with any macro four third cameras, any crop sensor camera, you get beautiful images, beautiful videos, because of the shallow depth of field that you get on your crop bodies. But I decided to go with the 24 to 70. There are 2 or 3 reasons for that. First, I am using A6300. Once I combined with 18 to 35 lens, you get good images, but you need a good stable gimbal to work with, because in both the lenses as well as camera you do not have stabilization. And second thing, the 18 to 35, the range is very much low. So I mean, you cannot get tight shots. You need a little bit of telephoto range towards the higher end. And these are the 2 important things which made me decide that I should go with something else. So I found one deal of this Tamron 24 to 70 Canon mount, and I already had Viltrox Ef2.8, so I decided that I should go with this. There are a few reasons for that. One reason was that it has a longer focal length. Like 24 to 70 is the kind of focal length where at 70 mm you can get beautiful background blur, beautiful background compression, and at 24 mm you get a wider field of view. And one more thing is that this lens does have image stabilization. So if when you are combining with A64, A63 and any camera which does not have stabilization, this gonna make your video footage look stable. The third most important thing for which I went for this lens is that it has 2.8 aperture. When you use one speed booster to it, the aperture goes down to 2.0. This is the 3 main important features for which I decided to buy this lens. Let me guide you through all the problems that I am facing with this combo. The first important thing for which I bought this lens was stabilization, because I don't have stabilization on my 6300 for which I am shooting right now. Stabilization of this lens does not work with your A6300, so that is a big bummer. And the reason why I am saying this, because you need a stable footage, and that is why I bought this lens, because I needed to have some kind of stability in my footage. So this lens does not work. The stabilization of this lens does not work. I don't know whether any firmware update will gonna fix this, but the problem is the firmware which was last released was back in 2018. So I don't think they are going to release any more new firmware to this, because they have many new adapters coming up, so the company builders will definitely look for their new adapter and their support rather than thinking about the older adapter. Maybe it happens that they release a new adapter which is EF to E3, and then they can give a little bit of more features to it. Now coming back to the second thing which I didn't like, at F2, if you think that this is really the F2 that you are getting, it's not F2, it is somewhere around F2.8. I don't know why why this is happening, because I have compared this, the background blur and the background compression as well as the bokeh that you get with this lens, with this F4 lens 18 to 105. I have found that the bokeh and background compression, everything does look similar. This is F4 and this one is F2 with the Speedbooster, so it should get a little bit of extra blur, little bit of extra compression, and that's what I'm not getting with this lens. So maybe there is some glitch to it, or maybe I don't know what happened, but this 2.8 at 2.8 it does not look like 2.8, it looked like F4 or F3.5 or maybe something like that. So maybe some issue with this. There are one more problem which I am facing with this lens, is that when you lower down your aperture from F2 to F16 and F8, it does not work. It does look like all the way from F2 to F16 you are getting the same kind of depth. I would definitely say that the aperture control with this adapter does not work, which should have informed by that guy who has this video on YouTube. In his video he tells us that the stabilization does work with this combo, and at F2 it's good for low light. The low light capability of this lens does seems to increase when you use the speed booster. Autofocus does work, which really works. I have seen that on the firmware update in the first firmware which was released with the F2.8 adapter. You used to get only contrast detection autofocus, which sometimes works and sometimes hunts in random situations. But when the latest firmware was released, the CDAF, which is called the contrast detection autofocus, seems to work pretty well with this lens, just because they have updated the algorithm of that contrast detection autofocus to hybrid detection autofocus. The lens is pretty much heavy. If you see there here, if you really want to use it on gimbal, then this lens does not be your choice, because it is itself like 1 kg or something, and this one is around 500 grams, so it's a completely different weight altogether. Now there is one more thing which I want to talk about this lens, is that once you use it with your A6300, the autofocus does work for some time, but when you zoom in and zoom out, with this lens, you see that it directly goes to manual focus, so you have to switch on and switch off the camera again to get this lens working. So I have used this lens to one of my friend's camera who has 60 Mark II, and that is where I found the true potential of this lens, because it does really work with its native mount. If you really want to use this lens, you should definitely go for Canon mount, because you get stabilization, you get touch autofocus, you get autofocus tracking, and everything seems to work really well. But when you adapt this lens with this adapter, I don't know, it's problem with this adapter, that this lens is not functioning, but it seems to work. But I really think that this lens is not functioning just because it has been adapted through this adapter, which is a kind of Chinese adapter. So maybe just because of that, this lens is not holding its ground, and it's not really performing as per my expectation. The reason for which I'm making this video is because there are many people who really go and watch YouTube videos, and they really think that whatever information you get from YouTube is true, but when you use it, when you buy something after watching review in YouTube, you only get to know the good thing about that product, but there are still some cons which you should have been informed by the YouTube guy. But this video will help you decide whether you should go with Viltrox EF2.8 adapter and this 24 to 70 setup, or you should go with the native mount, which is 18 to 105. And one more thing which I want to talk about is that the lens, which 18 to 105 does produce quite a beautiful background blur, if you go a little further on your focal length, like 85, 70 mm or maybe 105, you really get good background compression and blur. And this 24 to 70 seems to overpower this, but it didn't do that. I don't know why. Maybe due to this speed booster, the aperture does stuck at 3.5 or maybe 3, and whenever you look at your camera, it does give you the indication that your aperture has gone down to f2, but it really does not produce that kind of beautiful background blur that you really want in your images. One more thing, guys, if you really want to use this lens Tamron 24 to 70 on your Sony camera, or maybe if you want to use it on your GS5 and any other micro four third sensor camera, then you need to have one adapter so that you can adapt this lens to your camera. I don't know about Metabon speed booster or maybe Metabon adapter, because those adapters are very costly. But if you are on budget, you will definitely go with Comlight and Viltrox. One more information to you guys, and that is more important for many other people who really want to adapt these lenses to their Sony or maybe any other micro four third cameras like GS5 or G85 or maybe G9. Once you decided to go for one Canon lenses, or you already have it, you need to have one adapter to adapt with your camera, and the adapter is available. There are many adapters available in the market, but if you really want to go with the Comlight and Viltrox, you can go with this. And if you really want to go for the costlier one, which is the Metabon, and I do not have information about Metabon adapter, because the price of Metabon adapter itself is as high as one lens. If you really think that you want to buy one adapter, you can buy a native lens for that matter also. Now the question is, this 24 to 70 seems to work good with its firmware updated version of Ef2.8 adapter, which is from Viltrox. But there is one more issue with it, and that is once you start using it on your autofocus. The reason is that autofocus does seems to work really well, and it is usable in most of the other scenarios. But the problem is it starts making some kind of noise, which is annoying for many of us. And that noise that you hear from this lens, it is audible. So if you are recording directly on your camera, the audio tend to get messed up with this noise of the lens. So even if you are using a Boya or maybe some kind of a good quality microphone, and when it is coming from the front of the camera, it used to get noticed whenever you are processing in the post-production. So if you are using this lens, you most of the time you can get away with this lens if you are using a music video, because all you want to do is to shoot the video, and you want to add background music, or if you are recording some kind of interview, then that audio tend to get messed up with the noise of this lens. So that is something that you need to keep in your mind. And if you are using this Sony lens, because it's a native lens, so this lens does perform in any environment, any scenario based on your requirement. And this thing is gonna be a deal breaker if you really want. It does not have any limitations so far as the video quality, as well as the autofocus, as well as the zoom ins that you get, and the background blur, background compression that you get. This lens is something that you should go, which is 18 to 105, which you can see here, and this is a native mount. So many people think it's a kind of experiment that many people does, and I also do, just to learn how things are working. And I used to buy a lot of used stuff just to see and learn how things work. This lens does work good for many other photographers who really want to have one lens which has the aesthetic of prime lenses. Like you get 24mm f2, you get 35mm f2, you get 50mm f2, and you get up to 70mm f2. But does the f2 which looks from this lens is really the f2, or maybe it is 3.5, or it's showing different on your screen? That is something that you have to assess once you use this lens. I have also posted one video which you saw just a few moments before, and you can assess that is it really f2. Because when I compare this lens f2 lens, this is adapted one f2 lens, and this is f4 lens, I don't see a lot of difference, which should have, because the lens this lens has f4 and this lens has f2, so there should be a difference. But I don't see a lot of difference, but still there is a difference, and you can assess it once you use it. So thanks for watching. If you really like this video, if you really like this review, then please do subscribe to my channel. And if you have any question, you can ask me in the comment section as well. And if you really want to have discussion, you can call me on my number. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.